Can you guys hear me? Oh my gosh. What's up, everybody? My face is going to turn red. I'm Kristen, and this is the point. I'm like talking to you about like what you're going to get out of today being if you show up, just showing up is going to get you halfway to the battlefield, even if you start recording and you're on mute. So if you're watching the replay, hope you fast forwarded through the first 3 minutes where I was muted. But here's the thing. Running the play is like, doing your reps, right? Like in the gym or somewhere else. Running the play is all about how you practice the thing you're about to do. So I'll give you a million examples until somebody says running the play in the chat so that I know that you get it. It's like how you make yourself a better presenter. That's called running the play. Cool. Let's find a prospect over here, a client over here, and let's test out this new service or solution offering and then go sell it and commercialize it over here. That is called running the play. Obviously, it is a football term. It's a sports term. I'm going to leave it generically at that. It's a sports term as well. It means that we're going to iterate the play. We're going to practice the play, and we're going to figure out where our weakness is so that we can keep moving forward. And so in all aspects of life, you got to run the play. But so often I speak to entrepreneurs and professionals who are like, I'm not ready to run the play because it's not perfect. Someone say, it doesn't have to be perfect in order to get started in the chat. It's texting me perfect. All right. So in order to get perfect, you actually have to run the play, right? Run the play. And so today we were doing a 4-hour masterclass, and someone's like, Kristen, how on earth do you go live for 4 hours? Aren't you exhausted? And the thing is, yeah, you're not. Because when you learn to run a 4-hour masterclass in the right way, you actually lean back from over teaching. See, like the whole concept that we so often think of when we think about going live and sharing some knowledge or being a guest in a podcast or even writing a book or teaching somebody something is that we have to over teach. We feel like in order to give the value, we have to teach them the tactics. And I'm just going to go from a ton of experience to say teaching the tactics is extremely exhausting. It's exhausting. Instead, we want the people, our clients, our prospects, whether they're corporations or entrepreneurs, we want them to have a transformation. So when I was selling sales consulting to language service providers, it really was like I was still learning how to refine and hone my craft. So like you have permission to go out there and monetize your purpose without having all the answers. And I was delivering my sales consulting to one company, it looked a little like this, and to another company, it looked a little like that. And I simply kept running the play in order to figure out what I was really good at and what I liked versus didn't like. And so running the play is just a concept that as an entrepreneur working for ourselves, or even as a leader within a corporation who's growing and climbing the corporate ladder, like you've got to run the play. Because the thing is, the perfection, like how you perfect your craft. So tell me in the chat if you're seeing this live, what it is you sell or what it is you do. So I was just at a weekend-long book writing retreat workshop in which, I'm so lucky I get to write my second book, Say Yes and Figure It Out. You can go to sayyesandfigureitout.com for your free download and this super cool, fun screensaver. But in that workshop over the weekend in Dallas, it's also a bunch of other, like there were 60 other authors, some of them aspiring authors, others already, best-selling authors. And the concept of running the play is the same. Like, in order to learn how to write a best-selling book, you have to be willing to learn a framework in which you can get your book out into the market in a very short amount of time, or however long that means for you. And then at the same time, I learned the framework, how to market the book at the same time that you're writing it, right? And so being like, tell me in the chat, like, we have a few viewers now, where you're watching this from, and if this is resonating. We're talking about running the play and what that looks like depending on who you are and what you're doing, whether you're a corporate salesperson, whether you're an entrepreneur monetizing your purpose, whether you're helping other entrepreneurs monetize theirs, right? And so running the play means being willing and humble to like take a step back to learn a framework or a system that somebody else has had success with. And so as a sales consultant last year, I was winning a client over here and winning a client over there, and figuring out along the way what type of clients I really liked, what deliverables I was really good at, and then how to hone and refine that moving forward. Now, in this like 2.0 version of me being my own boss and working for myself full-time forever and ever and ever. Thank you, universe. Now it's all about helping other entrepreneurs feel comfortable in their own skin. It's kind of ironic, but like how we have so much conviction that what it is what our superpowers are and what we're really good at is needed by other people. And then nobody gets it right out of the gate the first time. Like, you can just release all pressure on yourself to be perfect. Perfection comes from failing forward and iterating and trying to figure it out along the way. My new friend Val, she dropped out of the heavens and has been partnering with me on my masterclasses the last 5 weeks. We were like trying to figure out today how many times we've run the play. I think I've run it 7 times total, and 5 of those times have been with Val. And like every time we get out of a 4-hour masterclass, whether people book calls or not, whether we have this big table rush or not, we talk, we exchange all types of voice memos, and we say like, what did we like? What could we have done better? And can I just like so boldly say, today was the best we've ever run the play. So like, we were so stoked on it, and we're like, okay, what do we do next week? And how do we do it the week after? And what part of the system do we need to perfect and go visit again in order to get better at? And so last night, I'm like typing on my computer while my 3-year-old is sleeping in my bed at 10:30 at night, updating my portion of our play today to make it better based on feedback and research that we had been doing. And today, after the call, we were like, oh my gosh, it's like, your stories were so good. My stories hit over here. It felt more natural. But like, it's 7 times since we've been running the play, 5 times together. That's a lot. And we plan to keep going and going and going, like there is no end in sight for us. And I just want to give you courage and confidence that like, until you have your own confidence from having run the play and having had it worked, borrow my confidence in you, or borrow the confidence that somebody else has in you, to know that like, it's okay to make mistakes. Today, the very first portion of the call, I was sharing my screen, and it turns out I was sharing the wrong screen. Now, listen, I've actually done that more times than I would like to admit, and always on complete accident. And honestly, luckily somebody IM'd me. I wish they would have just came off mute and told me, but it's okay. I saw the IM. I was like, oh my gosh. And so here I am, like having to fumble to stop the screen share, switch the monitors, replay the thing I was trying to play. And I just said, like, is it okay if I'm human today too? Right. And then I did it again, doing something else in the call. And like Val did it at one point. Like, is it okay if I'm human? Because what people don't remember is 10 iterations later, when it is perfected, when you have a super big audience present, they don't remember your mess ups like so many iterations ago. They just see you standing on stage, performing, having perfected your craft, right? Like we don't really remember Carrie Underwood from, what's that show? What is that show? Yeah, well, you all know what I'm talking about. The Carrie Underwood, wherever she was found. What's it called? Okay. Yes, whatever that show is, we don't remember her from there. We just know Carrie Underwood now as some big mega star, right? And so it's fun to go back potentially through, as if you're her or if you're studying the art of her, it's fun to go back to her initial videos, attempts at singing, performances, to see where she was and how she's improved. And that's why it's so good to put this content out there, right? Not only one, for me to say, like, I'm still figuring it out. Am I allowed to be human? And two, to show myself 10 iterations downstream, like, wow, look at how brave I was. And look at how willing I was to just show up and keep moving forward. Oh my gosh. American Idol. Yes, of course. Thank you. I love it. So run the play means you have to just keep showing up. Consistency compounds. So the more we show up is the more that we get better. And people don't remember our janky versions of ourselves. They really only remember, and all of a sudden, well, no, you're perfect. So like, that's why we say we are constantly comparing our behind the scenes hot mess to somebody else's highlight reels, right? And if we could all just learn to be a little bit more vulnerable and like show up as we are, where we are, stumble over ourselves, because we know that the overall message is more important than getting everything right and like detailing it out and scripting even this conversation. I was just like, I had like 3 back-to-back calls with friends and with Val and whoever after my masterclass. I'm like, there's gold here. I need to come in to LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook. Let me know where you're watching from. I needed to come here and share this concept that like, we're so grateful. We are so grateful, me and Val, that we ran the play today and that we've worked as hard as we have to iterate and innovate. And like, you need to know now before it gets to be too crazy sauce that like, I literally had no idea how to do any of this. Like, wave at me if you believe that I didn't know how to do any of this. I mean, I'm a corporate salesperson, but like selling like that is not showing up in your sports bra and just kind of going with it, which is why I love being able to step into this identity and really be able to serve everybody in the way in which I'm serving, because it just feels so much more organic and natural and authentic to me. So like, you have permission to show up as you too, because there is a you inside of you who is cheering you on, who is never going to believe the doubters and the haters. That you inside of you has been there all along, like screaming to get out and to screaming to help you reach your full potential. And so often we let the naysayers, the people who say freshmen don't make that soccer team. I often tell this story where I was a freshman in high school and my sister was a senior, and it was qualifying for the varsity soccer season. And well, let's just say I had to attempt to run the mile. It was a qualifying mile for under 7 minutes. And I failed the first time, the second time, and the third time. But your girl made that varsity soccer team after several trials and errors and peeing my pants on the track because of the support, because I leaned in to help, asking other people for help. And what that looked like in the moment was one of the seniors physically pushing me. She was running behind me and pushing my body to make me go faster, as I was probably peeing on her leg. It's crazy. But I made the freshman soccer team varsity. I made the varsity soccer team that year of a state qualifying soccer team. Like we were really, really, really good. Me and one other freshman, Helen Blodgett, we both made the team. And it's like truly the definition of like, I knew if you asked anyone in my orbit back then, pre social media, like my dad, my sister, my best friend, my mom, everybody knew I was going to make that team, but I kept showing up and failing. I showed up and I failed. I didn't make it. I showed up again and I didn't make it. I showed up again. I showed up for last call and I didn't make the mile. And I had to beg, borrow, and probably negotiate with the coach, my sister, and like one of her friends to come out there to support me because there was some sort of rule that you can't just go out there by yourself and qualify. You had to be surrounded by, the coach and others. And so we made it happen. And so that was me leaning in to vulnerability, leaning in to ask for help. And I just want you to know and leave here feeling inspired that like you can do the same. So now is a good time. If you have questions, drop them below and I will answer them if I see them live. Otherwise, I will catch them on the replay because I'm just getting ready to wrap up. But I think it's such an important concept that we left today's masterclass being like so jazzed. I've gotten like 10 voice memos and texts from my good friend Val of like things that we can iterate, places that we can tackle different objections. When you do what I do, and even when I did what I did before, I just never thought of it this way. Like it's constantly like tackling other people's objections about the thing. So it's like, what are the objections they have about your system or the framework or the thing that you're selling? So when I was selling language services, I had come up with the help of my CEO, this innovation framework in order to drive enterprise-sized translation solutions within these big companies when they didn't want to answer a call from a rep. And not only did this innovation framework kill it with one of our clients, I was able to use the framework time and time again to open the door to prospects who, again, they wouldn't normally answer the call, not from a stranger. Then not only did I see success with the framework, I taught others on my team how to use the framework too. And that's the beauty of using a system or a framework is you get to point back to the system or the framework. If things go wrong, it's not you, the coach, or you, the vendor in that case, who got it wrong. It's the system. It's like, where in the system did it break? And that's why as authors, we teach how to use, there's like a whole hero's journey. And we teach we teach the concept of teaching a system in the book, whatever the book is, how to break down a system in 3 to 5 steps and leave that system with the readers. So it's like super ninja. And using a system to drive sales or using a system, right, to iterate and innovate while you're out there selling. Like I'll leave you with this if there's no questions. So many entrepreneurs, I call them accidental salespeople now, because unlike me, you might not have had professional sales training. So not only was I trained by some of the best salespeople in my industry, I was constantly at companies who would invest in lots of good training. And we would read books like Good to Great, like The Challenger Sale, like I don't even remember all the other books. And we would do these like full immersive workshop experiences during our work. Like we all went to Denver one year and we did this cool 3-day workshop where another company came in and trained us all on these concepts, like laying in the hammock. And like those of us who went through that training will never forget that concept. And so there are things that even I, with all that experience, still need to learn. And I just want to like make you feel better or give you permission that nobody has all the answers. Like we're all out there trying to figure it out, investing money, spending time, surrounding ourselves with others who have already gotten to the place that we're looking to go so that we can shortcut how fast it is for us to get there. That's why we go to these book workshops. What might have taken somebody a year to write a book, now you can learn a framework to condense that into 3 months, for example. Or now you can learn a system like I teach and figure out how to sell high ticket offers without feeling like a sleazy salesperson. All right. So I hope this resonated. I hope you leave here feeling like, cool, I don't need to be perfect. There is no such thing. I just need to keep trying. Consistency compounds. Keep showing up. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. So put your best effort out there. The world will recognize it, and then you will be rewarded for it all. All right. If this was helpful, let me know below, and I will